Just when you thought that you couldn't hate the media anymore, you look at the front pages of every newspaper today and there's a salacious story of how a young Indian girl was racially abused by some far-right Irish kids. And it's wall-to-wall coverage with journalists showing up at the door to interview these people and the ordeal that they had to endure at the hands of the vile Irish people, of course. News articles from all over the world talking about how Indians are no longer welcome in Ireland. And hopefully you're thinking the same as me. Good. I hope the message gets through. Here you have it, wall to wall. Gardaí investigating reported attack against a child in Waterford. Punched, hair pulled, racist attack on Indian young girl at the age of 6. Indian origin girl 6 attacked, mother recalls the horror blow by blow account. Let's have a little listen.
I'm really scared and so sad, and I'm not feeling safe even at my home. I don't have any words to explain. The only thing I wasn't able to protect my daughter at that time. I am not getting much support. That's what I believe. Yeah.
And do you feel that your nationality was a factor in this incident?
Yeah, I can't. That's the only thing scaring me now. I didn't realize that's my nationality because my girl, she expressed at the night after the incident that, the gang who punched her, they were telling, go back to India, something like that, dirty Indian, go back. That was so upsetting. I didn't realize I didn't belong here.
You didn't realize that you didn't belong here? Really? This is absolutely insane. A little bit of a spat between kids out on the road. National broadcasters roll up to run a story about racism. As I said, you can't hate these people enough. And what I'm going to do here is, it'll be a short video, and if you're new here, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe and share. It helps grow the channel. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the juxtaposition between this story and the coverage by the mainstream outlets and the fake outrage that's supposed to be out there. And I'm sure that there is automatons that are out there going, oh my god, the poor little girl had to endure this vile racism because of misinformation and disinformation on the internet and these far-right scumbags. Of course, this is the premeditated purpose for putting out stories like this. So the question that I want to ask of you and anybody that comes across this video, maybe let me know in the comment section down below, is how come when a 6-year-old girl gets into a little spat and is told to go back to India that it's a racially hate-filled attack, but when there is numerous attacks by Indian men on Irish women and very young children, race never comes into play, and obviously it's not deemed a hate crime in any way, shape or form? That would be a very interesting question to pose towards these journalists that are on their hands and knees inside in this Indian's sitting room slurping up the story. I'm going to show you a clip from one of my older videos, and I'm going to show you a few clips from other articles that I've pulled up that might add a little bit of perspective to this whole story. Indian health worker avoids prison for assaults on patients in hospital emergency department. Indian man who assaulted a concert goer at Marley Park given a suspended sentence. Indian male nurse who coerced and assaulted a co-worker in a care home avoids jail. Indian man who assaulted a 14-year-old on a bus given suspended sentence. Monster 31 sentenced to life for horrific rape and murder of Irish backpacker 28 in India. Indian camp guide jailed for sexual exploitation of a child. Indian data engineer 26 accused of sexually assaulting a schoolgirl on a bus for 40 minutes. The face of the Dublin restaurant owner ordered to pay $143,000 to an employee who feared rape at work. Indian man jailed for 7 years after drugging and raping a young Irish woman. And here we have multiple articles that I won't even read, from the UK, from Canada, from America, from Europe, of savage, disgusting Indian men forcing themselves on Western women. So as I said, let me know down below why you think it is that all these mainstream outlets that are reporting on Indian men attacking young Irish women and children don't use the same rhetoric in terms of it being racially motivated. Don't use the same rhetoric in terms of inciting hate or it being a hate-filled attack. Why do you think that is? Let's have a little listen to an Indian reporter talking about why she believes Indians are not welcome in Ireland anymore.
In Ireland, there has been a big increase in the number of Indian immigrants, and this has sparked a lot of debates. Over the past few years, the number of people from India living in Ireland has grown rapidly. In fact, data shows that number of Indian origin citizens in Ireland has jumped by almost 300% in last decade.
Let me just let that sink in. The number of Indian people coming to Ireland has grown by 300% in the last 2 or 3 years. They're insane numbers. These are unmanageable numbers, but we'll continue.
From just 11,465 people, the Indian population in Ireland has now reached about 45,449 people. Now, this rise has been particularly noticeable after Brexit, when many people from the UK started moving to Ireland, and more Indians began to see Ireland as a good place to live and work. However, the sudden increase has caused some tensions, specifically with country's ongoing housing crisis. Ireland is struggling with rising rent costs and homelessness, and some locals are concerned that the growing number of immigrants is making things worse. Recently, a post on social media sparked controversy when a video was shared showing an Indian family proudly moving into their new home. The post claimed that in past 2 years, about 54,000 Indians have moved to Ireland, while the country had only built 63,000 homes in that time.
So if we're going by the stats coming out of the CSO, they say that 45,000 Indians have came to Ireland in the last 2 years. And obviously the number of houses that are being built are not going to be able to cope with just the influx of Indian people, not to mention the hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians, Middle Easterns, and God knows who else. So when you actually do the deep dive into the construction industry and into the new build industry, you do realize that there is a significant number. I could make an anecdotal claim in terms of 65 to 75 plus in terms of who's buying the new houses. But to understand the frustration of Irish people, you just have to look at them numbers, not to mention all the predators that are getting arrested and getting suspended sentences. So responding to the widespread news stories that are going around today in terms of a racist attack on a young Indian girl, I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for that sort of situation. I don't see the same grace been given to the multiple victims of these Indian men over the past 4 or 5 years here in Ireland. And of course you'll get the rhetoric of, well, they can't be named, so sympathy can't be offered because we have to protect the victim. You should have protected the victim right off the bat and prioritise Irish people with the very limited number of houses that are being built. So now we have an uptick in Indian people jumping onto radio shows, jumping onto mainstream media outlets talking about how racist the Irish people are. A little bit of advice: if they're so racist, if you can't be around them, go home. We have nowhere to flee to. This is our home. That's not an option for us. Just go home and we'll all be happy. How about that? If any of that made sense, let me know down below. Maybe hit like, subscribe and share if it did. Cheers.